What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, although this one might feel a bit more like an episode of Off the Air. If you ask fans of the show, because we have the sweetest crew of all time, fresh off of All In. If you didn't have something to do, you do now. Thank goodness you're here. We're going to break all of it down. And we've got the best post-show crew in the game. Let me start first. Out in the DMV, it's not a Tuesday, but get your twos up for the Tuesday Night Delight himself. Shoddy, good to see you again.
What's going on, Clark? I'm good, bro. Definitely a fun weekend of professional wrestling. Fun weekend for me. I've been on every show this weekend, so I can finally cap the weekend a shot after the night. But let's get into it.
Absolutely. I'm stoked to get into it. We've already got comments here. Pierce Kiernan, good friend of the show. Hello, gents. He did use the a word that I can't say in his first comment, but I do appreciate that too, Pierce. And good to have you. Glad you're here hanging out with us. No doubt about it. Now, as you know, All In was in London this weekend. So the majority of the crew over here at Wrestling Republic hanging out at the show, having the time of their lives. So they did leave the keys to the office here on the North American side. We've got a few Americans, but we've got one Canadian. All North Americans, but only one Canadian. The man that reviewed the show himself, Mr. Coby Galenzoski. Good to have you. How you been?
It's absolutely good to be here. Of course, this is a big time. A lot of things are happening in my personal life that are going to mess up the daily for me as well. But it's great to be here, and what a weekend to have to almost end off a chapter of my life in a way. Of course, I'm here for All In. I'm here for All in London. It is a beauty. It succeeded last year's, but of course we have to wait to get into it. And we got someone else to introduce.
Absolutely. We'll break it all down. And of course, we got a surprise guest. I mean, this isn't technically an off the air, but it basically is. This is a post show daily, special edition daily. And you can't have a special edition daily without somebody that you can believe in. And I'm just saying, we got, who is it again, Driz?
Good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe it. It is your boy Dryzzy cashing in his daily Money in the Bank briefcase on this episode of the Daily because that show was absolutely perfect from top to bottom, start to finish, with a tear in my eye. Show of the year.
100%. I mean, Chef's Kiss, just a beauty of a professional wrestling show. And Driz, so stoked to have you. I mean, we couldn't have done this show without Driz after spending the last 6 hours, us four, watching all of it, being jealous of all of our friends over there in the UK. There's no other way to go about this. Speaking of things we need to get into, though, let's talk about that main event. Let's get right into this. Let's dive into it. I thought Danielson's career was over for a second. Man, did I think it was over for a second. And not so fast, my friends, in the words of Lee Corso. Not so fast. We had a little hangman interference, but it didn't directly affect the match. We had a lot of false finishes, but they were tasteful false finishes. And I think that's important to note. They were tasteful false finishes. And then, dang it, Brian found a way. The final countdown, not quite either. It's not over yet. New AEW World Champion. I thought Swerve was outstanding. This is borderline match of the year candidate. I got to get your thoughts out of the gate, Drizzy.
This match was so emotional from the moment that you saw the beginning video package that I'm calling Brian Danielson's love letter to wrestling. He said he's loved it from the very first day that he saw it. And from that moment, you just feel, when you see something that just touches you, it wells up in your stomach and you feel it. Like it makes you want to cry. And I felt those tears from the moment that came on to the final countdown happening to even when Swerve came out in his heel form to having probably one of the entrances of the year. to every little small thing. They did all the little things that mattered in pro wrestling. And the whole time we're watching it, if we're not just mouth in awe of everything that was going on, we couldn't get anything past we love wrestling. This is one of those matches that you show to people when you're like, why do you watch this stuff? You put this match on and like you tell me you don't feel something when you watch this match. You can't tell me that when Brian Danielson was getting kicked in his chest and slowly standing up, staring at his daughter, saying, "I love you." You don't feel anything. You don't can't tell me when he's laying on the ground reaching out to his family. You don't feel nothing. Like these are the moments in wrestling that create fans. We have a whole generation of UK fans right now that are like, I want to go to be a pro wrestler. I'm going to Progress. I'm going to all the UK schools, Creative Pro, you name it. They're filling up now just because of matches just like this.
100%. I mean, dude, to your point, I felt like I got goosebumps like 4 or 5 times throughout the match. I mean, both entrances. You talk about the staring at his family, and then when he kind of hulked up and was talking to his family, that emotion was so real. I got wrapped up in it, right? I got lost in it, and we watch this stuff every single day, right? This is what we do. This is what we cover. It was so beautiful. I love the way you just broke that down, Drizzy, because
It kind of put a period in my eye because I just picture. Like, think about yourself. You're reaching out to your family for that. Like that is
children, your
relatable
family.
emotions.
I got genuinely choked up when he was yelling the "I love you" thing as he's getting kicked. Like, oh, it's just so there's nothing. I got goosebumps again, man. I'm about to hit double digits. It's like it's one of those things you can't even make up. We got a great comment over here on Instagram from World Wrestling Apparel, and thank you so much for tuning in. He said it was awesome, and then put in parentheses WWE fan here. Dang, I love to see that. I love to see that all the time. And you know, we're all wrestling fans at the end of the day. And yeah, this was one that just to me it tugged on heartstrings. It was amazing, and it made a lot of people happy in a lot of good ways. Is one thing I would say about that, because as much as Swerve Strickland deserved another moment, this was that moment in some ways too. Despite losing, Swerve has nothing coming out of this to
He has no reason to feel bad at all because he
yes.
brought everything that was needed. I don't think there could have been a better opponent for Brian than
Yeah.
Swerve.
Two
Yeah, I agree with that.
two people from the Pacific Northwest, from Washington, from the same area. And you see it littered all over the card with Nick Wayne as well. It's a pro wrestling hub that doesn't get talked
The least
about
important
often.
Washington
The
on the
less
map of the
important
United
Washington, I
States.
know. I'm going to use
Let's not
Shad
forget
next.
that. No one cares about that place that
That's
much.
why I was setting it up. Washington State. I'm about to send it to our guy from the DMV, Northern Virginia, next. But I will say, I mean, dude, two West Coasters, but heck of a main event. And I mean, the only person from Virginia involved was Hangman. So I want to ask you about that part of the run-in, Shoddy.
Oh man, so I'll get to that in a second, right? Um, Drizzy said love letter to professional wrestling. To me, I agree with that, but Brian Danielson may be the best poet of professional wrestling that we've ever had. The way that he can just pen these beautiful poetic matches every single time he gets into the ring and even gives you these like poetic moments. We saw it from the Yes movement in WWE when he got his title to even with the whole notion of what was built with Kofi Mania. And then tonight, there's nobody in the business, in the history of the business in a while that can do what Brian Danielson does. So this match to me, I'm off the adrenaline, off of the high, maybe, but it may be the match of the year, in my opinion. I don't know. Everything tied to it between these two gentlemen, the physicality, the build up towards it, and just the stipulation itself. When you look about career versus title, that career aspect is just hanging over your head, and you're just like, holy cow, we might not ever get to see this man wrestle again. So as you watch it, you have several emotions going in. You're thinking, I really want him to win because I can't lose Danielson. I need to keep watching Danielson on a weekly basis. But then you're also sitting there like, man, if this is the last hurrah, let's go guns a blazing, man. Let's appreciate the moment that it may be. And whatever the result of this match was going to be tonight, I don't think there was a wrong decision. I don't think there would have been a wrong decision if Swerve would have got put over, which I predicted, right? And become a made man off of that. But I don't see a problem with Danielson coming up on top and having that moment visually at All In, at Wembley, with his children and his wife, in the middle of the ring. Like, that's something that you don't get
Beautiful.
a lot in pro wrestling. So kudos to those two guys. In regards to Hangman, I'm glad they got it out the way early, man, because you know I know some of y'all was predicting last Wednesday, like, oh, we need Hangman to do this to interfere and get that way. No, that should have never happened. If that would have been a DQ finish, I would have been so mad because you needed this match to be as clean as a whistle when it comes to end result. Danielson is the best in the world. He doesn't need Hangman to help him win a match with some schnoz. So I'm glad how it ended. I think Hangman and Swerve is something that we definitely are going to get at All Out. I don't know the direction in the world title picture. That's for us to see in the next coming weeks from AEW to tell us. But speaking on what we saw All In today, salute to Brian Danielson, man. This was I put him at number one last time we did the rankings list,
Yep.
bell for bell, and he only verifies my point even more. He is the wrestler of the year this year without a shadow of the doubt, and I don't think anyone's touching him.
I'm with you. It was that good. And there's so many, we've got so many comments here. This is awesome. I appreciate everybody here that's in the comments. Coach 23, good friend of the show, added, that's the brilliant storytelling that Brian Danielson has learned throughout his entire career. Yeah. Yes, it was on display, full display. We've got Andy Wynn, friend of the show, with 5 stars. W pay-per-view. Yes. Rosario added 100. Absolutely. My mama even said great crew, and she's doing her yes chance. Absolutely. Love you, mama. And then Mart 76, as a Washington native, and I think Mart's saying state, not DC. Sorry, Shadi, on that one, but the Pacific Northwesterner. As a Washington native, it was great seeing Swerve and Brian in the main event. Brian's selling is amazing, and Swerve is the main eventer, and he's not going anywhere. Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, this was as much about both as anything. And Shad, you made a great point about, like, no matter who won, it didn't, it would have been great given what we saw tonight. I think the people that really won were us, the fans that watched this night in and night out. Like,
Without a doubt,
that's who won.
bro. I'm as much fun as we watched it, obviously, as fans at home and appreciated it. I could only wish I was a fan in attendance for that main event
Oh,
because that feeling once Final Countdown hit, the feeling once Swerve came out with, Bun B, and uh DJ Who Kid introducing him and whatnot, like that is crazy to me, man. Like West Side Gun, like that it just felt like a big time match, and the crowd made it even more of that. So
absolutely. No, I'm with you. And Coach 23 commented, this is hilarious. He said, Washington State doesn't even have a pro basketball team, but I miss the Sonics. I miss the Sonics too.
oh yeah,
But the Kraken are back. The Kraken are back. They do have the Kraken, or not even back. The
Gary
Kraken
Payton, one of
exists.
my favorite players. So
It's funny. I mean, heck, the Sonics could have had Kevin Durant. Imagine if he's a supersonic his whole career, how many jerseys you sell. I'm just saying. That's not to change the
and
subject, but
Russ,
Coby, obviously, you rated this show. If there is a quarter star less than 5, and no spoilers here, but just know I'm flying to Canada and we're gonna have to fight about it. If there's a quarter star less than 5, and I want to know, is there any chance that I have to start booking flights to Central Canada?
Yeah, you can put your passport away. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And see, this is the thing about this match, and I think all of you summed this up right. they did the Hangman Page interruption angle, however you want to say it, tastefully. He didn't affect the finish. He isn't the reason Swerve lost. He's the reason Swerve got a Psycho knee. I mean, so he played his part in the match. But I think I agree with what we all said. Dryzzy said this was Bryan Danielson's love letter to professional wrestling. This is, to me, when I sit here and I look at this match and I see a lot of the people who talk about AEW in a negative light saying there's no stories, but XYZ. We can see this happening, and this does happen on the internet. If you are sitting here and saying that this match had no story, I don't know what you're looking at. This was the best built match of the entire show. Not only that, this has everything it needed to get you emotionally invested. I can sit here and say I am a Danielson fan. I'm a Daniel Bryan fan. I'm a Bryan Danielson fan. I've seen them both wrestle at this point, and it is gutting to say that this could have been his last match. It would have been a hell of a match if it was his last match, but I am honored to say that we get to see Danielson still in this business. He is transparent about his health, and he says he has to have a neck surgery this year. So that kind of means he's going to have a short reign, and it is gutting to hear that, but it's beautiful to sit here and say that he gets to have his moment. He got to have his moment in Wembley Stadium, winning the world title, sitting there with his family, Brie Garcia and his two children.
Absolutely.
Especially emotionally, if you can't get wrapped up in this, I don't know what will make you tear.
What moves you emotionally if this one didn't get you to your point? Like, 100%. We've got a bunch of great comments here too. I love this. I knew we had a Pacific Northwest following as a West Coaster myself. Robert underscore and Angie said 2 guys from Seattle fighting for the championship. And then he also added, we did have Durant. Not only Durant, but Rashard Lewis. That team was loaded.
Ray and Rashard was an underrated duo. Obviously, Peyton and Kemp, and of course the GOAT of all Sonics, Luke Ridnour.
The glove is the GOAT of all Sonics.
Luke Ridnour, bro.
He's a Pacific Northwester himself, though. Oregon Stater. Garrett Payton.
Was Chris Wilcox on there?
I'm a Chicago guy, but even I respect him. And then Robert and Angie added
Robert Swift.
Robert
Swift, a bitch player.
Robert and Angie also added Swerve is from Seattle, right? I do technically believe he's billed as from Tacoma, but like he's a Seattle guy, generally speaking. Yes, is the answer
he's from
to
that
one.
region.
Yeah, he's from out there. We could spend the whole show on this main event because I think it was that good. No spoilers. You're going to have to check out the article for Coby's rating, but we may have half spoiled it. At least my passport is safe for now. Let's talk, though, about the opening match of the night. Let's get right into that one. We got the Trios World title. We got Claudio. We got Wheeler. We got Pac. We got the House of Black. Then we've got Christian and Crew. The whole family.
Don't forget the
patriarchy.
Bang, bang.
I was going to get to the Bang Bang Gang because what I was going to say is I actually think the Bang Bang Gang stood out in this match as much as anybody, despite it being a loss. It's not really a loss in a ladder match. They didn't win, but I truly believed that the Bang Bang Gang stood out above any of the other teams involved. Now, I do like the wild card moment winning. The wild card team winning the moment for the moment. It makes sense. This weirdly did feel like the last 0-hour match, though, and not the curtain jerker. That'd be my only complaint, and I have to really nitpick because I dang sure loved this pay-per-view. Dryzzy, I think we enjoyed the match, especially once it got going. But it was kind of a funky move to have the entrances pre-show and then the match start once it goes live.
They do it on big shows like that. You see them do it on Mania. They do it a lot. It's just a way to save time. And then when you see the results of the match, you understand because of what happened later on that night. I'll start from the top to beginning. I completely agree with you 110%. The Bang Bang Gang absolutely were the all stars of this match. Juice was had all types of moments, especially his moments with Mama Wayne, who had Mama Wayne. They were their interaction great. The Guns no longer the ass boys. You have to put some respect on their name because they were great in this match. They played to the crowd. They made use of every single moment they had. Nick Wayne, another person having an incredible match in there. I it is hard. It is easy to lose the House of Black in this, but you could tell they they held this match together. This match, most of the time when you have matches with more than 10 people in it, it's a bit of a cluster. This one was actually pretty smooth. There were no major botches, there were no accidental happenings. Everything went without a hitch. It's almost I almost want to say it was the perfect ladder match wrestler wise. Like you didn't have any bad issues go wrong. Ladders didn't go flying waywardly. You got a bunch of the WLC
Yep.
ladders and tables all over the place. The match was wrestled as clean as you can wrestle a ladder match, and to have the new bastard combat club, I'm guessing what we're gonna call them. I don't know what we're calling them now. Pac is
Yeah.
officially a member now. It was just a great way to have to start this show, and we talked about it. It was a good problem to have. You have so many matches that could have opened this show, and it would have been a banger right off the bat. But we just happened to go with this one, and I have no complaints about it.
They're basically apocalypse now. Da-da-ch. Sorry, I had to. That's brutal. With the BCC. No, I agree 100%. We've got more comments over here too on Instagram. Robert and Angie said, "Yeah, I went to my first AEW live event last year when they came to town in Seattle, and I met everybody outside the stadium. Swerve, Darby Allen, that kid and his mom, who's always with Christian." And then he said that kid Nick is actually really good, though.
Very.
Yes, I agree.
His
Now we're
mom was
talking. I've got my
crazy.
Mother Wayne wristband on from Dynamite myself. I mean, Buddy Wayne is a legend, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to never appear in the WWE or WWF of all time. For people that don't know the backstory when it comes to Nick Wayne,
Yeah.
he's an absolute legend of the sport. Trained many of your favorites, and you wouldn't know it, right?
Hmm.
His fingerprints are all over this business. And so when it comes to Nick Wayne, I do love the idea, though, that they haven't necessarily leaned into that. And that is not a knock on Cody Rhodes, although I will take the time to take the cheap shot right now. He didn't quite do the same. Just saying, when it comes to his build towards the top, Nick Wayne stands on his own 2 feet just next to his mom.
Not
Let's 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 move on to the speaking of people standing on their own 2 feet. Hi guys. Chris Jericho did a concert today. I don't know if we forgot about it. Sure didn't. He wore an orange shirt, or no, he didn't wear any shirts. He wore an orange suit, and then he sang himself to the ring. One of the most impressive displays I've ever seen in entrance game history. He sang himself to the ring. He didn't bring in a musical act from the side. He was like, nope, I got it. My whole band's going to be out here. And then the Hookster arrived. If anyone knows me, they know I am the number one Hookamaniac, the leader of the Hookamaniacs. I think Hookamania should always be running wild. I think it's he's got the best quaff easily of any Gen Zer wrestling right now. I think by far, when it comes to quaffs. And yeah, I mean, Suplex City, all of that stuff. We got to see the Red Rum. And guess what? We also got a throwback. We got a Taz mission. I'll take it. FCW title. It's got to be over by now, though, right, Cobe? This is. That's
It's
about
got
it.
to. It's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, like this is the thing: is the stipulation was last chance match. If Hook lost, he could never challenge for the FTW belt anymore. That's it. It's impossible to say this would have been any other way with Jericho going over. I thought like the entrances were some of the better parts of the match. It was like, oh yeah, this was good. Jericho didn't have a terrible one because he has had terrible ones before. And Hooks was good. They got me excited hearing the heartbeat, the flatline, and then it was like, no, it's his Action Bronson theme. I was fine with it. This match, regardless, is probably the weakest on the card. There's not a lot of great things about it. They do what they needed to do well. They had Hook battle up. You have Brian Keith and you have Big Bill. Which why is Big Bill so over? I don't know. It's comedy. It was transferring over from Cardiff to Wembley. It was fun. It was enjoyable. They did what they needed to do with Hook getting his moment of or no, it wasn't even get his moment because Jericho hit Big Bill with the pool cue, sending Big Bill through the table. You got Taz doing the Taz mission. It did what it needed to do. It had the moments needed. It wasn't terrible, but there wasn't more I expected from this match, and it that's all I can really say about it. It did what I expected, and that's what was put Hook over, and he
Things
actually did go over. So
things happened and there was a result. Eventually somebody got choked, and that's nice. I like it, Coby. I think you broke that down beautifully. Let's move on to the next one though. Let's talk about so we've got FTR, a classic, all fists, no flips. We didn't see many flips, but they are flying more than they were previously. I got to give them credit there. These guys are getting airborne more often than we saw in the past. And then we've got the Scumbucks. We've got Nicholas and Matthew.
I like that nickname.
Yeah, the Scumbucks are
fully
they're tough to
fully
deal with.
fully mustached young buck.
Yeah, I noticed that's like a new thing for like white men nowadays. Like white dudes, all like there's like 6, 7 white dudes today with
You're gonna make me
mustaches, man.
shave, Shad. Dang it. You're
Y'all
gonna
two
make me
gotta
have
grow
to
'em,
shave.
man.
I'm not trying to be trendy like that. Dang it.
I mean, I might do it, man. How do I look? It's a mustache. Look, I look
Yeah,
like
what do you
Mario if I
think?
did that.
Honestly, if I could get one of those like curly ones like Raleigh fingers back in the day, I might consider.
Get
I
you gotta
might
get
Simon
the
think
Bobby,
Gotch
about it.
you
mustache.
gotta get the
That'd
Bobby
be
Fish.
the
You gotta get
if
the
I
Bobby
could
Fish.
just
The
Bobby
manifest
Fish
one
is
of
vaudevillain.
dope.
those.
His is dope. He got the little twirl to it. Yeah,
Yeah, nice little.
mustache
I
is
don't want to
dope.
go full Simon Gotch though. Not a big Gotch fan.
Or Trent Seven.
Trent Seven's got a good stash though. Heck of a stash there. Um, got to give him credit for sure. Seriously though, let's talk about this match because your favorite rapper, Shad,
Oh yeah,
um, did the entrance. Max
without a
Caster,
doubt.
you're
Without a doubt.
your goat when it comes to bars. You're absolute. I'm sorry.
What,
That's
what,
the
what am I? What
this
am I
is
breaking
the
down the
meanest
match or
thing I've
his?
ever done.
Am I breaking down his match or his freestyle?
I want you to start with the freestyle and then talk to me about our our tag team champions.
The greatest moment for me this year is when I went to Dynamite in the great state of Northern Virginia, and when he was about to freestyle and they just cut his mic off because I didn't have to hear his freestyle live in effect. I think Max Caster is not that good of a performance rapper. I think a lot of his punchlines are repetitive. He's said about 940 Donald Trump bars throughout his time in AEW. He likes to talk about people's private parts, all of that. It's just not good. If you want good punchlines, hit me up. I'll write it to you. Obviously, I'll have to be compensated, but that's neither here or there from your resident podcasting battle rapper. And I'm missing a King of the Dot event because I have to talk about Max Caster. This is a bad day. Anyways,
Respect.
nah, this was a good tag team match, and um, you're gonna get that out of a match between the Young Bucks, Acclaimed, and FTR. The It's the same thing we always talk about with every other wrestling show. It's not the match quality because you have talented superstars. and they put on great matches. It's just the overall tag team booking. So going into this was one of the matches that I wasn't super excited for because there just wasn't a lot of life built into it. I feel like we've kind of grown tiresome of FTR, which is crazy to think because they're one of the best tag teams in the history of pro wrestling, but they just feel a little, dry at the moment, as well as the Acclaim, because a lot of people are just not digging Max Caster. It's not anything in the group itself, but a lot of people just don't like the antics of Max Caster. So, they got to find ways to book them in position to make us miss them. Now, the biggest thing that happened in this match was not what happened in the match. It's what happened after the match. The EVPs win, cool. We got the grizzled young veterans, GRV, and that's exciting to me because one, obviously they got their moment in the UK, but like that's a good team to add into AEW. Like I feel like just how incredible professional wrestlers they are, them being new faces, the history that they have onto it, it's gonna be a good, jab in the arm for the tag team division because you create fresh matchups and I mean, they're just really good. I think we forget how good they are just because the last bit of their WWE time has been taken away. Character they were doing the whole thing with Joe Gacy. Now they get to be who they are, and they've been killing it post WWE. So if they have signed in AEW, I'm super excited. I think FTR and Grizzle Young Vets. Let's build that up. Let's put that next in 2 weeks at All Out because that's gonna be that could steal the show. That could definitely steal the show. But all in all, man, solid. I'm excited to see the direction of what they do.
Yeah, I hear you there, and I also hear where you're coming from when it comes to the rap stuff, because you know what you're talking about there, right? We're talking to a competitor himself, so I get it. We do have the new
Bro,
champs.
the thing is this, man. They reacted to his bars, but they
Yeah,
didn't react to Bun B.
that frustrated me as well.
Like, what are we doing out there in the
As a
UK?
hip hop head,
Chaos. Do
that
I need to
frustrated
call
me too.
Chaos like mid show to yell at him? Because I feel like he should have been yelling at everybody in
Where
attendance as a fellow hip hop fan
to
himself.
Chaos's credit, he did send in the main chat, Bun B, all caps, and then the same thing he sent to me and was like, UGK for life. So I got to give
Yeah,
Chaos credit. He was at least of the people in attendance
yeah.
the
RP
most,
Pimp C, of course.
RP Pimp C all day. I was about to drop a Pimp C bar that I shouldn't on air.
Yeah, you
Never
We
can't do
can't
mind.
that.
do that.
You can't do that here.
The sheets without a what? Never mind.
Money on the dresser, drive a
The
compressor, top
drive a
notch
compressor.
ball, get the most, not the lesser.
Yeah, I
Anyways.
was gonna go with
That's
the
the
first one on
tamest.
that same verse.
That's the most tamest one.
It's the
I was
most
go
tame I can say that lyric.
I was going with the first one on
I
that
got Bobby by
same
the
verse.
Brown, Whitney by the Key, DJ. All right, anyways, let's go.
You
Let's
see?
stop.
No, let's keep it moving. I'm sorry. Let's let's talk a real interesting one. The Casino Gauntlet. This is like AEW's Rumble.
Amazing.
Am I wrong? Did we just see something special happen here today? I mean, really quickly before I toss it to you, Driz, we do actually have comments that I meant to read. Greetings from Wembley from friend of the show, The Sheldon Show. David there in the stadium still. And then you're from Backstage Brawl.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk, though, about that Casino Gauntlet because this felt Rumble-esque. This was exciting. This was different. This was fun to me. And I loved the surprises. It didn't need to be 30. It didn't need to take up the whole show. The entire show didn't need to be booked around it. But dang, did it have a place on the card. And so, Driz, I got to ask you your thoughts on that Casino Gauntlet. And then obviously, big surprise winner.
First off, let's talk about the goosebumps it gives with the return of Nigel McGuinness. Yes, clear your ears out. I said that correct. A man that we thought we would never see wrestle again. In 2024, Nigel McGuinness was wrestling and looking good in the ring. He looks like he has not stepped out of a ring. He might, maybe he's not wrestling for us, but he was in somebody's ring during these 15, was it 15 years? it may be 15 years of him not wrestling, but it's just it's one of those things you never thought you'd see. This is where I have to applaud AEW. They know how to make the most out of moments. We had a couple of years ago. We had Shibata return. Somebody else we never thought we'd see wrestle. Soraya wrestles on a regular now. Somebody else they know how to make those moments big. And he went in for a while. He went number 3 in this. Now, this gauntlet match as a whole is more so along the lines of your TNA call your shot gauntlets. I don't like the fact that it is one fall to a finish, but when you have a show with all the matches that it had on it, you can't sit there and do one of these hour-long Rumble matches. So, for what it was for, it served its purpose. We've had all types of amazing returns, debuts. We saw our good friend from the WWE make his way out of that trunk in WWE. Ricochet is now all elite, and he came out, did a couple of moves. And he got pyro. I don't know why that is such a big deal to me, but he got pyro. In WWE, he got pyro, but you could never see it. I don't know why it matters so much. That is just a little kid in me. But having Ricochet, Nigel McGuinness, a wild and crazy Hangman. Like this match gave us so much, and our surprise entrant Christian Cage, who earlier in the night lost their trios title, came back. And can we question to the panel? Are we going to consider this Luchasaurus a return or just a rebrand, a go back? What are we doing? A heel turn? What are we doing with it? What are we calling it?
I hate to say this, but in the words of the great college basketball coach Bobby Knight, I think the Luchasaurus announcement was a ball fake.
It may be. It may be. It definitely got all of us because when he got
I jumped.
We were definitely like, oh snap. But Luchasaurus fell in the kill switch and proceeded to chokeslam Kyle O'Reilly through the mat and then drag his daddy on top of him. So
wild to me too. And it's funny because there's been criticism about the kill switch name, but there was criticism before about the Luchasaurus name. So to tease us like that is kind of genius. The joke's on us a little bit when it comes to that, right? There's been criticism both ways. Why'd they change it? Once we didn't like it before because it was too cartoonish. Like, you know what I mean? And to tease us like that, I respect so much.
The thing with the name Luchasaurus, you didn't need to change it to be a heel in a sense too. Like a dinosaur, like I mean, I ain't hugging no. If I saw a dinosaur in person, especially a dinosaur that could do like flips and stuff and like hurricanranas.
Oh yeah,
I'm running away, bro.
I mean, I will say at All Out last year, he hissed at me and I was pretty scared. That was not chill. I was like, all right, no, like Darby, help me out here, buddy.
As he proceeds to like kind of pass out on stairs.
Yeah, no, like I helped Darby up, and then once he stood up, I got the hiss from Luchasaurus, and it was like, oh no, I'm good. He's 6'6". That guy is that tall. Like it's pretty much my reaction. It's like, dang, talk about height. This is great. Josh Markowitz, great friend of the show. Shout out, go Orange, our Syracuse brethren there. If I saw a dinosaur who could do flips, I'm dropping him. Or
he's
dapping
him up.
He's dapping him. He's dapping him. He's just high-fiving him. Yeah. Respect. That actually makes more sense. Yeah, no, I would be like, thank you. I don't know if the dap's the move either. I wouldn't touch. You never know. Venom, it's a dinosaur.
You gotta touch tips.
You never know, man.
I don't know if I could dab. If it's a T-Rex, I mean, who knows?
It depends on his dapping
T-Rex
skills.
got short arms.
That's a tough one. I might be running, and I'm not very fast. I'm just saying, Okay, speaking of people that aren't very fast, let's talk about Maxwell Jacob Friedman, our former American champion.
You mean Maxwell Jacob Creed?
Yeah, Maxwell Jacob Creed, the Apollo Creed, the American hero we all needed the American hero we all needed, and he just could not quite get the job done against that assassin. Heck of an advertisement in the entrance. The assassin from Assassin's Creed, Will Ospreay. He's back. It's international. He wins. He gets the win. But dang it. Dang it, I thought Max was going to bug everybody. I wanted to see fights in the crowd. I really just wanted to see people get upset.
You wanted the show to end early. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, no, I wanted him to hurt people's feelings. And he was so there, but it is what it is, Coby. If it wasn't for a particular Danielson and Swerve match, this is as good of a pay-per-view match as we've seen in a heck of a long time. How many times can you name where you've seen that high level of apron spots executed that well over and over and over again?
Very, very few. Like you said, this was a phenomenal match, and I can't sit here and say I expected anything else. I knew coming into All In, the challenge is okay, the last time these two men faced off, they went 59-59 or whatever. They went the 60-minute distance. You're not going to get 60 minutes at this big of a show, especially when it is their WrestleMania. And I don't know the exact time, and I'm just going to click it. 2 seconds. It is a 25-minute match. So they got their time cut way in half. And they did exactly what they needed to do to have that effective of a match. I'm not turning this into a time length debacle or anything like that, but they did what they needed to do here. There was not fluff in this match.
None.
There was everything that it needed to be. Working on the Tiger Driver, working on Daniel Garcia appearing for the first time since after Forbidden Door. It had everything it needed to have. The special entrances, the patriotism from MJF, the Assassin's Creed entrance for the second time this year for Will Ospreay. I can't sit here and complain about anything in this match. It did exactly what it needed to do. And that was give Will Ospreay that big moment of winning this title in Wembley Stadium. And he succeeded.
I'm with you. The moment was off the charts. The streamers, to me, were just such a funny touch. The entrances were both off the charts.
The fact they were still hanging is
the whole, yeah, I mean, they're throughout the rest of the show. It's like Max, even in a loss, couldn't keep himself off screen. Right? Like he couldn't keep himself off the screen, essentially. Yeah, it's just like, to me, it's comedic how good Max is at bothering people.
Yeah.
Like, he is just that dang good, which is like the name of the game at being a heel. I mean, I've made the mummy bugs reference a few times. Like, if you've seen the movie The Mummy, you know, they have those like creepy ass bugs. Sorry for cursing, Ben. They have the creepy bugs that like crawl under your skin.
Yeah.
Max has that effect. Like, that's what he does. He just bugs you. Like, it's just frustrating to hear him. And half the time, to me, the brilliance is like, even if it's corny, even if it's cheap heat, because it's Max, it's weirdly believable in a way that a lot of other wrestlers you can't say the same about, right? Like,
I hear that.
I believe this guy. It's a little bit like as a guy that's a golfer. If you've seen Tin Cup, Don Johnson's character in that movie, they talk about he hates dogs, women, and and old people, right? Like, or I'm sorry, dogs, children, and old people is what it is. It's dogs, children, and old people. And like, that's Max. It's like the classic glad hander, shake your hand to your face, big old smile. And then he's just he's just slimy as could. It's the scum of the earth, and I love that because there's room for that in wrestling, and we need it.
He's
We
one of
need
those people. You shake your hands, you check to make sure you got all your fingers back.
yes. He can make you emotionally want him to get his butt kicked as well as anybody in the game right now.
Yeah.
And he can do it multiple ways is the craziest part to me, where it's like, hey, this guy can be basically like sadistic in one breath. He can be the scammer, the cheater, the one step ahead. I outthought you guy too. And then he can also hit you with the betrayal one too. Like he plays all the notes when it comes to being bad. And I think the brilliance of this is lost in the shuffle of how great the rest of the show was.
For sure.
Because it was just
it was a phenomenal match. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. You caught me for a second, but you're fine. No, but I just think it was, to me, if it's not for that main event, this is what we're talking about.
This probably would have been match of the night.
On any other show, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. It definitely it lived up to the expectations. These two have delivered two classic bouts against each other, right? So I mean it's kudos to both competitors. These guys are able to wheel out these incredible matches every time they're on the card, especially against each other. And seeing Ospreay get his moment, like y'all mentioned, and just seeing the entrance with the Assassin's Creed tie do it, and just hitting that Tiger Driver, it was a dope moment. So that was a great match.
I love the tie too, like you said about the Tiger Driver, to the Danielson match itself.
Yeah,
it did, giving that encouragement that Danielson did to Will to actually basically like Brian to me is the one that took the blinders off, for lack of a better way to phrase it, when it comes to Will Ospreay delivering that Tiger Driver. And I think that's something that wasn't lost upon me. That little nugget of storytelling is brilliant now from earlier in the week, especially given the results that we ended up with. It didn't seem as smart as the time. It didn't at the time. It didn't make sense at the time. It does now. And that's one of my biggest takeaways when it comes to this one. Now, let's talk quickly about Real Glass. Let's talk about
Mercedes and
we're flipping the order, Shad.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're gonna talk really quickly about some Real Glass. Didn't quite get Real Flames. But Jack Perry, that scapegoat, dang it. Did he get his moment? I don't know. It was real quick. Do you want to break this down for me, either Coby or Driz? And then, Shadi, I will finally ask you about that match that you're talking about.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Coby.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Give me your thoughts on it.
So, I mean, yeah, exactly. This is what we got. And we got Mercedes Moné speaking about, basically last year when she was there for Wembley in the crowd, she was already planning her entrance. It was an enjoyable entrance. It was fun. She had the carriage. She had her dogs. She had Camille there. It was the pomp and circumstances were there. This match... Oh, I'm not why am I talking about Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker by accident?
No, wrong match.
Wrong match. Jack Perry, Darby Allin.
They had a coffin match.
The coffin match. Yes. The layout is there. You have the coffin in the ring. You had the flowers. You had everything there. You have Darby Allin with thumbtacks sticking to his face. He looks insane. He is insane. Jack Perry has his moment, has his heat. Of course, like you said, there was Real Glass, and we saw the Real Glass. We saw it on his scratching up his back by the end of it. We got the Crimea River chants. We got the FCM Punk chants. I think it was only by one person, but He has to have
we
quite
could
the
hear
loud
Soul.
voice. We could hear Soul, and obviously that was the only person chanting that. Regardless, while it needed to be a dangerous match, and that's exactly what you're getting from Darby Allin, this was the predictable result. You had the custom belt, and you're not gonna bring out that custom belt for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. It was a very short amount of time for Jack Perry to have the black belt, and he was going to keep it. The Sting moment exactly was enjoyable. Seeing
the
Sting
highlight
get
of the
that moment
match.
again. He had his WCW theme again. It was exactly, it's the highlight of the match. Had the moment, got a little physical, and him and Sting not stood tall, but they walked out together. They're going to be tied to the hips for as long as Sting is able to still come out to the ring and get physical. And it did what it needed to do.
I agree 100%. Let's get into though to our final topic of this afternoon. And man, has it been a long day. I'm over here on the West Coast. We're like 7-8 hours in. On the East Coast, same thing. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. But this one was one that everyone was waiting for a long time. This is a match that's really important, Shadi. It's the battle of the initials. CEO, DMD. Dentist beats executive this afternoon. Talk to me about it, Shadi. What in the world did we just witness? Dr. Britt Baker, the good doctor, new TBS champ.
New TBS champ. She ain't win the match.
Britt Baker didn't win.
I know.
All right. Throwing me off so much right now, though. I ain't
You're
gonna lie.
goofing, Clark. You're goofing.
Anyways, it was a solid bout between Mercedes versus Britt today. Um, but I gotta be real with you. I feel like Mercedes' back gotta be hurting because I do think she carried a lot of the match within it. I think it is just a test of how great of a competitor she is. She's able to wheel a great match with anyone, and I think she definitely put on display. I don't think this was the best title defense that she's had thus far. It's maybe one of the, not the worst one, but it is one of the better ones compared to like the matches with Stephanie or Willow. But it was a solid bout. Um, the entrance, like Kobe mentioned earlier, was incredible, man. Coming out in the chariot, just looking out at like an absolute superstar. Britt being back as well. I'm curious to see what the direction will be with her. But all in all, a solid match.
Absolutely. And obviously the result is Mercedes retains the title. The CEO does win. The executive beats the dentist in this one, which does require less school technically when we're talking about collegiate hours, right? Less credits to be a CEO than it's, the famous line is, how do you get a Harvard MBA? What's the easiest way? And that's hire one. But the I'm with you, Shad. It was fun. Mercedes gets the win. Mercedes and Britt does feel like a bigger deal than this, and I don't think it's the end. I think that's why I got a little confused there. I made a mistake earlier when I was introducing the topic myself and looked right over at my DMD towel. But I don't think this is the end of the Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné saga. It's not the last time they'll face each other, but obviously with Mercedes picking up the win, big deal there. Now let's stay in the women's division. Let's stay with our main event. Let's get into our main event, basically. The timeless one. Toni Storm against Mariah May. We have a new world champion in shoulder pads, and it's not the Kansas City Chiefs. Mariah May, new AEW Women's World Champion, gets the win over her former mentor, whatever you like to call their relationship. Heck of a match. The blood, the storytelling, and who in the world had on their bingo card? Mariah May is going to slap her mama. Dryzzy, I got to ask you, Your thoughts on the title?
She did, first off, the story told in it absolutely amazing. We got Luther back after who we have not seen since the actual turn, and he came back and played pivotal parts because every time that she would try to grab some type of way over Tony, he's like no 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 no, and but she was still able to figure it out, and it just seemed like Tony was so conflicted the entire match, and for that moment, I don't believe this is the very end of that story. This is just maybe the first act, and I am loving that.
I am so with you there, Kobe. I'm going to ask you your opinion too. Same thing. Do you think that this isn't the final act? That this is only the first act? That this because I'm in agreement with Drizzy 100%.
I don't think this is the first act because the first act was their entire relationship up into the heel turn. But I mean, exactly, this is the second act. Mariah May has gotten the win, but keep in mind what she used. She used the Storm Zero pile driver. If I'm Tony Storm, I'm not letting anyone beat me with my own personal move and get away with it. I mean, that's the proof of the pudding. It's not going to be over. I do expect Tony Storm to beat her again. But I'm glad they actually made the right choice because this was your moment to make Mariah May. Mariah May has put in a lot of work the last 10 months since she came into the company in last November. And she deserves every bit of this moment. And she got the win. She had the blood. She had the shoes. She had the Owen Hart Cup. She was there as an actual star. She deserved this match. She got this win, and it was the better women's match of the night.
I would agree with that shot. I'm going to go directly to you here.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted it that the glamour Mariah May would come out victorious, and I'm glad they made the right choice. Phony Storm, Marilyn Monroe, we don't need her as champion. She's an absolute acting garbage can every time she steps into the ring. And Mariah May is the glamour. She deserves this moment. Her mother, you deserve the smack, lady. All right? You're cramping her style for a second. You deserve that slap. You a grown woman too. You deserved it. And then you're gonna hug the ops. Do you not know who you? Come on, man. Mariah May she deserves the moment. I'm excited for her. I think she is a class act type of heel. I don't think this is the end of it. I think the chase for Storm to get her redemption will be the good part of it. But you create a new star tonight, man. She got her moment in Wembley. So salute to the glamour, Mariah May.
I'm sorry, man. Put Marilyn Monroe on a t-shirt.
That was great.
Let's put it on a t-shirt now. Somebody, please.
Mariah May is watching that like, no, get that printed now.
Marilyn Monroe.
He's on to something.
That's got to be EAUGH too.
And let's not forget the reason that your man's Nigel McGuinness wrestled tonight is because he got a little smooch by the champion. That put that battery in his back. He ain't need Viagra or nothing. He got the little smooch and he got up, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's like PEDs and everything.
Hey, this year at All In Wembley, someone finished his story, and that was Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah,
he did,
and it wasn't talking about wrestling.
He finished a story at least, in the very least. All right. Well, with that, my friends, that does actually bring us to the end of the show because we're up against time. We could talk about this the rest of the day. We've been hanging out for like 7 hours. I'm sure everybody's got to get a nap or something. But what a heck of a day to be a wrestling fan. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, it means the world to us. Please do. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Shad, Kobe, Driz, thank you. As always, have an excellent Sunday night.
Stay tuned. Hey, if you want to see us more, if you want to see some more of us, just stay tuned for after this because Sunday Night Spotlight.
Immediately following this show, if you're like, what do I do now? I need more wrestling. Sunday Night Spotlight goes live. Check that out right away. That's going to be me, Drizzy, Shad, and Megan. Kobe, though, thank you as always for everything today too. And everybody, we're actually officially on live on Instagram. I apologize if you're looking for the end of the show on Instagram. You missed it. This is actually the end though. Everyone have a great Sunday.